We'll stay with these issues because Parliament is back this week, starts tomorrow, for what could be its final pre-election sitting, although I think they're going to wait until the Reserve Bank has its meeting later this month. And the Prime Minister, well, he's now resorting to cheap stunts, personal attacks, and a few smoke and mirror tricks to try and win voters that are abandoning his party as quickly as his MPs are abandoning ship. Last week, Stephen Jones became the fourth former Labor minister to resign just weeks out from a likely election. And in his place, the local rank and file, well, they'll be forced to cop another captain's call from Anthony Albanese as he tries to shoehorn in a former three-time Greens candidate, Carol Berry, into one of Labor's safest seats. Now, others have picked up her name, but few have picked up her recent history. Endorsed as a Greens candidate in the federal seat of Cunningham, again endorsed as a Greens on the ticket for the New South Wales Upper House, and again the Greens endorsed candidate for the Senate. She's also been a Chief of Staff to a Greens MP. Now, is this just another part of the PM's secret deal with the Greens to win their support in the event of a hung parliament? Who can tell? What I can tell you is that local Labor types are already awake to what's happening here in the seat of Whitlam, and they are angry at the Prime Minister for once again trying to run right over the top of the rank and file. Then there's the stunt on Friday, the announcement of a federal review into the treatment of gender medicine for children, confused children, for no other reason than to try and intimidate the new Queensland government from dropping their own review, announced just days earlier, as well as their ban on puberty-blocking drugs for children. Now, let's step through what's happened here because the chronology is important. After whistleblowers exposed shocking examples of children at risk and parents being kept in the dark about gender-affirming practices, the new Queensland government, the Crisafulli government, announced an immediate stay on the use of puberty blockers while they sought advice from medical experts. And they wanted answers as to how these drugs were administered in the case of Cairns, the Cairns Hospital, to children as young as 12 without parental consent. And not before time, after brave doctors and psychiatrists like Gillian Spencer, I'll talk to her in a moment, have been urging caution, pointing to expert reviews from overseas like the UK's CAS review that's now banned all of these radical practices on children. Now, despite demands here for an expert inquiry at a national level, the Albanese government has consistently blocked one until, of course, Queensland said, we'll go it alone, and they set up their own. The move by Queensland's got all the gender-affirming activists fired up, worried about what we might actually learn about these practices. So in a shock move on Friday afternoon, Federal Health Minister Mark Butler, well, he rushed out a press release announcing a review of gender treatment guidelines by the National Health and Medical Research Council. Almost immediately, out come the demands then for the Queensland review to be dropped. They don't want it. They don't want us to find out anything here. They don't want us to know what's going on. And there were calls too for children to go back onto these hormone treatments. So effectively burying this controversial issue, getting it off the election agenda. Worse still, the NHMRC, they won't even issue an interim report on this issue until next year. And that's before we even consider the sort of people that will be on the review panel. Truly expert and independent? I doubt it. More likely part of the trans lobby that's taken us down this path in the first place. Don't be fooled by the Albanese government's moves here. This is about shutting down justifiable community concern about stopping the Queensland review, revealing just how dangerous these treatments really are and making sure it doesn't become an issue in the upcoming federal campaign. Now, two bad people like me and others can see through all of this. We can see it, calling it out. I'll talk to Gillian Spencer in a moment, but this is a Prime Minister. It's transparent and obvious. This is a Prime Minister that's scared of his own shadow.